Have you ever felt fear holding you back, like a wall between you and the life you truly want to live? Fear is one of the most powerful emotions we face. It can stop us from speaking up, chasing our dreams, or even feeling peace in the present moment. And sometimes, we don't even know where it comes from. It just stays with us, quietly controlling our thoughts and actions. But here's the truth. Fear is not permanent. It's not who you are. Through the timeless wisdom of Buddhist teachings, we can learn to face fear gently, understand its roots, and free ourselves from its grip, step by step. If you've ever felt stuck, anxious, or overwhelmed by fear, you're not alone. Everyone faces it, but how we respond makes all the difference. In this video, I'll share 10 simple yet powerful Buddhist steps to overcome fear and find inner peace. These teachings are practical, calming, and deeply transformative. So I invite you to watch till the end, because sometimes just one insight can shift everything. 1. Recognize that fear is just a thought. Fear is not a solid object. It is a passing thought created by the mind, and like all thoughts, it can be observed, questioned, and released. When fear arises, it feels real, almost physical. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your thoughts spiral. Suddenly, fear takes control of your actions and decisions. But the truth is, most fear isn't about what's happening now. It's about imagined futures. We suffer not because danger is here, but because the mind believes a story that may never happen. The Buddha taught that the mind is the forerunner of all things. Our experience is shaped by how we think. When fear takes root in the mind, it distorts reality, like clouds covering the sky. But when we learn to observe fear as simply a mental formation, its power begins to dissolve. Awareness is the sword that cuts through illusion. To overcome fear, we must begin by recognizing it. This is fear. It is only a thought. This doesn't mean denying fear, but seeing it clearly, without judgment. The moment you witness fear without clinging to it, you create space. That space is where freedom lives. You are not the fear. You are the one aware of it. A student once came to a Zen master trembling. "Master," he said, "I'm plagued by fear. It keeps following me." The master smiled gently. "Then stop running," he said. "Turn around, bow to it, and ask, 'What have you come to teach me?'" The student was silent. The master continued, "Fear only chases those who flee. But when you face it with awareness, it fades, like a shadow in sunlight. Next time fear arises, pause. Breathe. Don't fight it or follow it. Simply say to yourself, 'I see you, fear. You are just a thought.' Sit with it. Let it rise. Let it fall." Like all thoughts, fear comes and goes. The more you practice this, the more you'll discover. You are stronger than the story in your mind. And slowly, thought by thought, you return to peace. 2. Breathe through the fear. When fear rises, return to your breath. The breath is the anchor that brings the mind back to the present moment, where fear cannot survive. Fear often pulls us out of the now. It rushes the mind into imagined futures. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if things go wrong? And suddenly, our body reacts as if the danger is real. We tense up, panic grows, and the breath becomes shallow. In that moment, we are no longer present. We are trapped in a story written by fear. The Buddha taught that mindfulness of breath is the foundation of peace. In the mindfulness, he encouraged practitioners to observe the breath as it is, long or short, deep or shallow, without changing it. Why? Because the breath is always here, and fear cannot survive in the here. When the mind returns to the breath, it returns to truth, not illusion. The breath is not just air. It is presence. It is your guide back to safety. The next time fear appears, don't fight it. Don't analyze it. Simply breathe. Feel the air enter your nose. Feel it leave your body. Each breath reminds you, I am here, I am safe, I am alive. Slowly, the waves of fear begin to settle. Not because you forced them away, but because you came home to your center. A young monk once asked his master, "How do I find peace when fear takes over?" The master poured a cup of tea and said nothing. Minutes passed in silence. The monk grew restless. "Master, please answer me." The master finally said, "Did you watch your breath while waiting?" The monk shook his head. The master smiled. "Then you missed the answer. Peace is not something I can give you. It is something you find in the rise and fall of your breath." And the monk understood. Start small. In moments of fear, place your hand on your belly and breathe. Inhale slowly through the nose. Exhale gently through the mouth. Do this 3 times with full attention. No judgment, no resistance, just breath. Each breath is a doorway out, of panic and into presence. Each breath reminds you this moment is enough. Return to it again and again. Because when the breath is calm, the mind begins to follow. 3. Accept what you cannot control. Suffering begins when we resist. Peace begins when we accept. The path to freedom lies in letting go of what we cannot control. Much of our fear comes from trying to control everything: outcomes, people, the future, even the past. We want life to move according to our plans. But life has its own rhythm. When things don't go the way we imagined, we tighten, we resist. And that resistance creates suffering, an inner war with reality itself. The Buddha taught that clinging leads to suffering. In the Second Noble Truth, he explained that our attachment to control, our craving for things to be a certain way, is the root of our pain. But when we stop clinging, when we surrender the need to control, we return to the natural flow of life. In that flow, peace is always present. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means seeing things clearly, without distortion. It means saying, this is how it is right now. When you stop fighting what is, your energy returns to the present. From there, clarity arises, strength arises, and you move forward, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. A Zen farmer's horse ran away. His neighbor said, "What bad luck?" The farmer calmly replied, "Maybe so, maybe not." Days later, the horse returned with 3 wild horses. The neighbor said, "What good luck?" Again, the farmer said, "Maybe so, maybe not." Then the farmer's son broke his leg while riding one of the wild horses. "Such bad luck," said the neighbor. "Maybe so, maybe not," replied the farmer. Soon after, soldiers came to take young men to war, but passed over the farmer's injured son. The neighbor said, "What a blessing," and the farmer smiled. "Maybe so, maybe not." This is the heart of Zen. Let life unfold. Next time life doesn't go your way, pause. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If not, release it. Place your palms together. Breathe in, breathe out. Whisper gently, "I let it be." Letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom in action. Accept the moment, not because you approve of it, but because you refuse to suffer from resisting it. 4. Replace fear with understanding. Fear often grows in the dark corners of the unknown, but when we bring light through understanding, fear begins to dissolve. When we don't understand something, our mind fills the gap with worst-case scenarios. We fear what we cannot explain, what we haven't explored. What feels uncertain? Like a shadow in a dark room, fear appears bigger than it truly is. And the more we avoid it, the stronger it becomes. Confusion fuels anxiety. And in confusion, fear thrives. The Buddha taught that ignorance is the root of suffering. Not ignorance in the insulting sense, but the simple not knowing of how things truly are. And where there is ignorance, fear arises. But where there is wisdom, fear fades. Wisdom doesn't come from blind belief. It comes from looking deeply, from turning toward what scares us and gently asking, "What is this, really?" To replace fear with understanding, we must first stop running. We must become curious, not afraid. Instead of saying, "I don't want to feel this," we ask, "What is this feeling trying to show me?" We observe our fear, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Often, we find the thing we feared was never as powerful as we imagined. Like fog, it lifts when we walk through it with clear eyes. A monk walked through the forest at night and saw a snake coiled on his path. Frozen with fear, he couldn't move. He spent the night there, trembling in silence. When the sun rose, he looked again and saw it was only a rope. He laughed, not because it was funny, but because he realized the fear had come from his own mind. The rope hadn't changed, only his perception had. When fear arises, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Write it down. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Is this fear based on fact or assumption? What is this fear trying to protect me from? Bring light into the shadows. Learn. Understand. Because what we fear, we often do not yet know, and once we see it clearly, it often no longer has control. 5. Act even while afraid. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act, even when fear is present. Many people wait for fear to disappear before they move forward. But fear doesn't vanish on its own. It waits in silence, feeding on our hesitation. The longer we delay, the stronger it grows. We tell ourselves, "I'll do it when I'm ready." But readiness never comes. And so, we stay stuck, trapped by the illusion that we must first feel fearless in order to begin. The Buddha understood that fear is a natural part of human life, but he also taught that action rooted in mindfulness is stronger than fear. Right action, sammakamanta, is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. It means choosing to move in alignment with wisdom, even when the mind trembles. Just like a lotus grows from muddy water, our courage often rises from uncomfortable places. Fear may be there, but it does not have to lead. The path is simple, though not always easy. Act anyway. Feel the fear and still take the step. Let the fear walk beside you, but don't hand it the map. When you act with presence, not from panic but from awareness, you shrink fear's shadow. Each small action builds strength. The mind learns, "I am capable, even while afraid." That is the power of doing, not perfectly, but intentionally. A young student once asked a Zen master, "How do I become brave?" The master handed him a lantern and said, "Go walk into the forest tonight." The student hesitated. "But it's dark. I'm scared." The master replied, "Take one step, then another. The lantern will not show the whole forest, but it will always show your next step." The student went. The forest was still dark, but one step at a time he walked through. This is Zen. We do not wait for fear to leave. We simply take the next step with light. Don't aim to be fearless. Aim to be present. If fear whispers, "You're not ready," reply softly, "That's okay. I'll go anyway." Start small. Make the call. Speak your truth. Try again. And when the mind says, "What if I fail?" answer with, "Then I will learn, then I will grow." Every step forward, no matter how shaky, weakens fear's hold. And each time you act with fear in your heart and wisdom in your breath, you become unshakable. 6. Observe the impermanence of fear. Fear, like all things, is impermanent. It rises, it stays for a time, and then it fades. What you feel now is not what you will feel forever. When fear takes hold, it feels final. It clouds the mind, tightens the chest, and whispers, "This will never pass." We become trapped in the illusion that this fear will always be with us, and so we cling to it or resist it, both of which only make it stronger. We forget the most fundamental truth of life. Everything changes. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence is at the heart of all wisdom. Nothing lasts. No joy, no pain, no fear. Everything is in motion. When we see this clearly, we no longer react with panic. Instead, we begin to watch. We become the witness to change, not the prisoner of it. As the Buddha said, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. To overcome fear, don't resist it. Observe it. Watch how it rises, lingers, and naturally begins to fade. Notice how even your strongest fears change over time. Today's panic becomes tomorrow's memory. This perspective softens the fear. It reminds you, this too will pass. When you hold fear gently with the eyes of mindfulness, it no longer controls you. You begin to trust the flow of life instead of fighting it. A monk asked his master, "What should I do when fear comes?" The master replied, "Pour tea, then wait." The monk was confused. Wait for what? The master said, "Fear is like boiling water. It cannot stay hot forever. If you sit quietly, it will cool. Just as tea becomes calm, so does the heart." And so the monk stopped struggling. He sat. He breathed. He waited. And fear, like steam, drifted away. When fear arises, don't chase it away. Don't believe its story. Instead, sit with it. Breathe into it. Watch it, like a cloud drifting through the sky. Whisper to yourself, "This is not forever." Return to the present. Ground yourself in this breath, this step, this moment. The more you observe fear without reacting, the more you will see. It loses power on its own. Let time and stillness do their quiet work. 7. Detach from the self that feels afraid. You are not your fear. Fear arises in the mind, but your true nature is beyond the mind, silent, spacious, and free. When fear appears, we often say, "I am afraid," as if fear is our identity. We merge with it. We forget that fear is just a passing experience, not a fixed part of who we are. This mistaken identity strengthens fear's hold. Instead of watching it, we become it, and suffer deeply because of this illusion of self. Buddhism teaches the concept of non-self. There is no unchanging separate I that owns fear. What we call self is just a collection of thoughts, sensations, and memories, always changing, like clouds in the sky. The fear you feel is simply one cloud passing through. When you no longer cling to a solid identity, fear has nothing to stick to. You become like the sky, vast, unshaken by any single storm. The solution is to create space between you and the fear. When fear arises, instead of saying, "I am afraid," say, "Fear is arising in the mind." This small shift is powerful. It returns you to the role of the observer, the silent witness. And from that place, you no longer react blindly. You respond with clarity, with stillness, with wisdom. Fear becomes a visitor, not the owner of your mind. A young monk once ran to his master, trembling. "Master," he said, "fear has taken over me." The master looked up calmly and asked, "Who is this me you speak of?" The monk was silent. The master smiled. "When you find the one who is afraid, bring him to me." The monk bowed and walked away. This time, not to escape fear, but to discover the self he thought fear belonged to. Days passed. He never returned, for in searching for the fearful self, he discovered it was never truly there. In moments of fear, pause and shift your language. Say softly to yourself, "Fear is present, but I am the one observing." Meditate on this. Watch the fear like a cloud. Let it pass, and ask, "If I am aware of fear, who is this I?" The more you witness fear without claiming it, the freer you become. Because fear may visit, but it does not define you. You are not the fear, you are the awareness behind it. 8. Use fear as a teacher. Fear is not the enemy. It is a guide pointing us toward growth and deeper understanding. When fear arises, our first impulse is to run away or to fight it. We label it as bad, unwanted, or dangerous. This reaction makes fear a prisoner to our judgment, and we miss its message. Fear, left unexamined, keeps us stuck in avoidance, blocking the very lessons that could free us. Instead of insight, we feel trapped. The Buddha taught that suffering and fear are teachers, not punishers. In the Zen tradition, the obstacle is the path. This means that what appears as a barrier is often the very doorway to awakening. Fear signals areas in our life where courage, wisdom, and compassion are needed. If we lean into it with mindfulness, fear transforms from a tyrant into a master. The solution is simple yet profound. Turn toward fear and ask, "What do you want? To teach me?" Instead of resisting or ignoring fear, invite it as a guest. What is it protecting you from? What part of yourself does it reveal? This inquiry softens fear's grip and opens a space for transformation. Fear becomes a mirror, showing us where healing and growth await. A student once asked his master, "Master, how do I conquer my fear?" The master replied, "You do not conquer fear, you listen to it." The student was confused. The master continued, "Once a bamboo grows strong, it must bend with the wind. When fear comes, bend with it. Ask, 'What do you bring me?' In this way, the storm passes, and you remain standing." The student bowed deeply and began to walk the path of listening. Next time fear rises, pause. Instead of fleeing, sit quietly and ask, "What is this fear showing me? What can I learn here? How can I grow from this?" Write your answers down if you wish. Let fear speak. Remember, fear is not your enemy. It is your teacher in disguise. Each lesson from fear strengthens your courage and deepens your peace. 9. Find stillness in silence. In silence, the restless mind calms. In stillness, fear loses its voice. When fear overwhelms, the mind becomes loud and chaotic, racing thoughts, endless worries, the noise of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. We try to escape the noise by distracting ourselves or reacting impulsively, but the fear remains beneath the surface, growing stronger in the chaos. Without stillness, fear gains power. The Buddha taught the practice of samatha, calm abiding, meditation. Through stillness and silence, the mind settles like muddy water left undisturbed. In this calmness, true insight arises. Zen masters often say, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." But the difference lies in the silent space within, the peaceful mind that is not swept away by fear. The path is to cultivate moments of silence, whether in meditation, mindful walking, or simply sitting quietly. When you learn to rest in stillness, fear's grip loosens. In the absence of mental noise, fear cannot shout. Instead, it becomes a faint whisper, easy to observe and release. silence is not emptiness. It is fullness without disturbance. A student asked a Zen master, "How can I stop my fear from controlling me?" The master replied, "Come sit with me by the pond." They sat together in silence as ripples danced across the water. The student said, "I still feel fear inside." The master pointed to the pond. When the wind stops, the water becomes still and clear. So must the mind. Fear cannot thrive in a clear mind. The student closed his eyes, breathed deeply, and found the silence within. Find 5 minutes each day to sit quietly. No distractions, no judgment. Focus on the silence between breaths, the stillness behind your thoughts. When fear arises, gently return to this silent space. Let your mind settle like a calm lake. With patience and practice, you will discover that fear loses its power, not because it disappears, but because you no longer react to it. In silence, peace speaks louder than fear. 10. Trust the flow of life. Let go of the need to control outcomes and trust the natural flow of life. Resistance breeds fear. Surrender brings peace. Fear often arises when we cling tightly to how we think life should be, our plans, expectations, and desires. When reality doesn't match our inner script, we struggle, resist, and suffer. This grip on control creates tension and anxiety, making fear louder and more persistent. We forget that life is constantly changing, unfolding in ways beyond our control. The Buddha taught the principle of letting go, upekkha, often translated as equanimity. It is the wisdom to remain balanced and unattached amid life's ups and downs. In Zen, there is a saying, "Let go or be dragged." Clinging to control drags us into suffering. Surrendering allows us to flow freely like water around obstacles. Trusting life's flow is not passivity, but a deep inner strength. The way forward is to release the need to predict or control every moment. Instead, open your heart to what is, moment by moment. Trust that life's currents carry you exactly where you need to be, even if the path is unclear. This trust dissolves fear because it replaces the illusion of control with the reality of flow. When you stop fighting the river, you find the freedom to swim with ease. A traveler came to a river and wanted to cross. He built a raft, tied it tightly, and gripped the edges with all his might. The current pulled hard, the raft creaked. Exhausted, he almost gave up. A Zen master nearby said, "Release your grip. Let the raft float with the river." The traveler hesitated, then loosened his hands. To his surprise, the raft sailed smoothly to the shore. "Sometimes," said the master, "holding too tight causes suffering. Trust the flow and the river carries you." When fear arises, remind yourself, what am I trying to control right now? Can I release my grip and trust the process? Practice. Saying quietly, "I let go. I trust the flow." Combine this with mindful breathing. Each time you surrender control, fear loses its grip, and peace quietly grows. Fear is a natural part of being human, an experience that touches us all. Yet fear does not have to rule our lives. Through these 10 timeless Buddhist teachings, we learn to meet fear with awareness, patience, and kindness. We see fear for what it truly is: a passing thought, a teacher, a visitor, not the master of our mind or heart. By recognizing fear, breathing through it, accepting what we cannot control, and trusting life's flow, we find a path from trembling to courage. In stillness and silence, we discover the spaciousness within, an unshakable peace that no fear can touch. Remember, overcoming fear is not about becoming fearless. It is about learning to live fully with fear, to walk forward step by step, and to awaken to the truth of who we really are, free, present, and whole. May these teachings guide you gently through fear's shadows into the light of calm and clarity.